You're listening to the uMentor Talk Show, where we invite a panel of experts each week to hear about their incredible journey and career paths. Coming up on today's show, we'll be chatting with Alia Sharif and Bilal Bukhari. Alia has her master's in graphic design, and Bilal is a cybersecurity advisor. This week's show was brought to you by the Salam Center. As usual, I'm Fatima Al Sayed, your uMentor Talk Show host. Make sure to tune in to the talk show every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember, if you have any questions for the panelists, you can always leave them in the comments section of our YouTube channel. Alia, how are you today?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. How are you?
Good, doing well. So you're a graphic designer. Can you tell us exactly what that is?
So a graphic designer basically can be a lot of different fields. I've specialized in branding and identity, which is creating identities for companies, for NGOs, which can involve logo design, stationery, posters, any advertising and marketing. So website design can involve a lot of things. It gives us good variety to work with.
And it keeps everything interesting.
Definitely. And it keeps you on your toes.
Yeah. So what's the nature of the job?
Basically, I work freelance, so I set my own hours. I also work on a variety of different projects. It can involve anything going from logo design. I've worked with creating wedding invitations, front-end website design, advertising. I've created handmade cards and things like that. So it can involve a lot of things.
What's your favorite thing to do?
Oh, right now I am really into handmade cards. I've also started designing a website that is catered to providing resources for madrasa age kids, so kids between from kindergarten up to about grade 10. And it's just giving them resources, Islamic resources, and secular resources. So that's in the works. So,
okay. And have you always been interested in arts and crafts and things?
From a very young age, my aunt actually really encouraged me into, she would give me pieces of paper and anything that I wanted. And so she always motivated me into doing something artistic and creative, and that sort of sparked it off. And yeah, it's a good way to get my mind, my creative juices flowing, and from a very young age. Yeah.
Is it hard to keep your creative juices flowing? Are there times where you feel like there's nothing there?
Yes. There's a lot of things. I think because I work freelance, it gives me a little bit of a freedom. So, for example, if my brain is not working in the morning, you sort of get yourself motivated by going online and checking out what's out there, what's new, and it can inspire you. Or for that day, if it's not working, that's fine. Sometimes my brain starts working at 3 a.m. in the morning, and you get up and you have to start working.
So you have
and then
no
you're
schedule.
exhausted. Pretty much. Yes, pretty much.
And how do you manage that?
That's the hardest part, I think, of my job, is the actual time management and making sure that you're taking the time to give yourself a break, and to make sure that you reach the deadline. I sort of work on, okay, the deadline is tomorrow and I need to work on it today, kind of person, and that also is a great motivator. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to keep time, to make sure that you're not exhausted and you've timed yourself well, that you're able to accomplish whatever goals you've set out for yourself. Having a schedule the night before, knowing that what you're supposed to do the next day really helps as well.
And you've been a freelancer for about 8 years now, correct?
Yes.
And I feel like it would be a very daunting to just be a freelancer all the time, trying to search for your own work, for your own projects. What advice do you have for people who want to go into the freelance zone of things?
Well, it definitely helps if you know what kind of projects you do want to work for.
Mhm.
I do know that I most of my projects have been with nonprofits and with the community, mostly our communities. So it does help quite a bit to know which area you've targeted. There are websites out there, depending on which where you're located, that do post projects online,
Yeah.
and they allow you to, either apply for a project, or if they can contact you directly. Some websites allow you to upload your portfolios online, and that helps potential clients contacting you for certain projects.
Hmm.
It's been a little bit easier for me because I've worked with so many of our community members, that most of my projects come from recommendations and word of mouth, and people who know my work, send my link or send my website to others that they know who are looking for particular design projects or design help. And so word of mouth really helps, but sign up if you're just starting off. I would recommend signing up for websites that allow you to either apply for jobs or to upload your portfolios, build your network. That is really, really important, especially as a freelancer.
Hmm.
Build a good network. LinkedIn is amazing. um, and there are other websites out there. Behance is one that I can think of offhand. If you're based in Vancouver, there's a really good website called Loco Solo.
Hmm.
Loco Solo, yes, and that's a good website too. It allows you to post your projects up there, and allows potential clients to contact you, or you can see what projects are available as well.
That's cool because it provides that sort of base for people who are looking to be seen and get their work known.
Exactly, yes. It's good
Um,
to have a
mhm,
portfolio as well of different projects,
mhm.
so that you can show the variety that you've worked for with work with
And do you
too as
suggest
well.
having a portfolio online or?
Definitely have a project portfolio online.
Mhm.
That's the easiest way right now. Currently, if you look at the way the market is, most clients do prefer to have a link that they can just click, and they don't have to, open a file, um, or something like that. But I mean, there are projects, for example, if you are into something handmade or something like that, then, a face to face meeting or sending pictures would be something that works out better for you. Again, it would depend on what you're targeting, what kind of project you're willing to take on. And yeah.
Okay. And have you always been like, did you always want to do this, or was there something different that you wanted to get into?
I actually didn't think about graphic design in my until after my first year of university. I've always, since I was younger, I was always interested in marine biology, which is like total opposite of what I ended up doing. Um, and then I looked at what was required. So I looked at, the requirements, and it required, 4 years of bachelor's, and then you would, go into specialization. And at that time, I didn't think I wanted to study that much,
Hmm.
especially in science. I thought you know, it would be a little more than I could take.
Yeah.
So I looked around, and I thought, okay, what about what's available if you go into the artistic or the creative side of jobs and things like that. And a graphic design opportunity popped up in the university that I was attending. And I said, okay, let me, I don't know if I'll get in with the portfolio I do have currently. So I'll just apply and let's see where it takes me. And surprisingly, I got in. And it was the best decision that I'd made.
That's amazing. And what kind of projects are
Yeah.
you working on at the moment?
Right now, I'm currently working for a company called Reach Learning Center, and it allows me to create resources for children with learning challenges, ranging all the way from dyslexia and mild autism to just not wanting to read and write.
Mhm.
Uh, so just creating resources that allows teachers to to be able to teach them little tricks and spelling rules and things like that. So that's really interesting because
That's so great.
what I can see is I can see that what I've created is being applied, and how I can change certain things that make it easier for the teachers to be able to teach better. So that's really wonderful to see an actual application of what I've been creating. The
That's
other thing
amazing.
that I've been working on, yeah, it's
Seems
really
like it would
amazing.
be like an inspiring soul kind of project. So it's great.
Yes, yes, it's definitely different from what I've done before,
Yeah.
where where I create and then it just goes out there, and but you don't actually see anything coming back
Hmm.
physically. But this is I'm at the center. I'm physically seeing what works, what doesn't, and how I can tweak certain things to make it work better. So it's definitely really rewarding.
Hmm. And how do you come up with all of your ideas?
Um, the internet is an amazing creation. It definitely allows you to go out there to seek inspiration. Pinterest is also amazing just to see what people have already created. You can take ideas and inspiration from what is already out there and seeing what works and tweaking it to make it work
Hmm.
for the project that you're doing. Yeah.
Is there, what's your creative process? I think everyone has their own sort of flow in work. What's yours?
It's fine. Again, it would depend on the project that I'm working for. Uh, but it basically is that I meet with the client if I can. I usually prefer face-to-face meetings, at least for the initially, until I get to know them and how their project or their thoughts work.
Hmm.
But I get to sit down with them, or I get to go on the phone with them, and I talk to them, see what they're looking for. Some clients are very easy; they know exactly what they want, and they give me a very clear idea. And some clients come to me and say, "Okay, this is what we want to do, and we have no idea where to go from there." I'm like,
Hmm.
"Okay." So let's take it step by step. So I talk to them and I have my own set of notes and I jot them down. And once I get off the phone, I go back through my notes and see what keywords I can pick up. And from then, I give them a few drafts, a few ideas. And then, depending on what they end up liking, I work with them to refine it. And eventually, that's the end product.
You're listening to the uMentor Talk Show. If you have any questions for the panelists, please post them in the comments section and we'll have them answer. If you're just joining the show, we're on live with Alia Sharif, a graphic designer. And coming up next will be Bilal Bukhari, a cybersecurity advisor. Now, Alia, do you have a sort of Instagram account, Pinterest account, things like that spark your creativity?
I do have a Pinterest account where I just pin whatever uh, sort of sparks ideas off,
Hmm.
but I'm just Alia Sheriff
Hmm.
on there. On Instagram, my account is Cards by Alia, where I've posted pictures of my handmade cards that I've been working on. So please free to contact me or give me a shout out. That would be great.
How did you start your Instagram?
Actually, one of my friends, she actually she just kept asking me to start my account, and I said, I'm not into social media. I don't like social media that much.
Mhm.
I'm not into it. I will not be able to keep it up. And she is very persistent.
Sometimes you need
So
those
she,
friends.
yeah, you do. And at one time, we were at a dinner together, and she just asked me to hand my phone over. And I
Mhm.
had no idea what she was planning to do. And she set up my whole account and told me it was my job to keep it up, and she would get very mad at me if I didn't. So she kind of tends to be a little scary. So I did keep it up, and it's been amazing. Like I really love Instagram now,
Mhm.
and you get so many creative people on there as well, and that's also a great source of inspiration.
Is it as hard as you thought to keep up with it?
Not really.
Mhm.
I think it's very simple because of the way she set it up for me, and I've just determined that I'm just gonna stick with the projects that I've worked on,
Mhm.
and so I've made it easy for myself. I have templates that I go back to for the hashtags and things like that, and she kept at me until I got it, and
Yeah.
yeah, so always
It's
look for friends who are like that.
yeah. You need that push sometimes.
Definitely.
What's been the most inspiring thing, throughout your career?
The most inspiring thing is actually an event that we hold in Vancouver in our community every year, and that's called Journey into Islam.
Mhm.
And it's an outreach program that invites non-community members to come to our center for a sit-down dinner and an exhibition on Islam. And so my role is definitely behind the scenes, where I've worked with the organizers to create advertising and items that are needed for the exhibition part of the event, as well as the exhibitors. So the exhibitors come back to me with whatever content they have, and then I work with them to um, create different display ideas for the actual exhibition. And we're actually, if you are interested in that, our website is ajourneyintoislam.org. So check it out. If you have any ideas, let us know, and we'll be able to help you out.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Um, and in school, was there anything that really sort of pushed your interest into this even further? What did you study actually? What specific thing did you go into?
So my bachelor's was graphic design with a concentration in marketing in Vancouver, and then I ended up going. One of my teachers in Vancouver, he always kept talking about the great experience that he had when he was in university. And he was actually British, so I ended up going to the university that he had done his master's in to do my own master's.
Mhm.
And I did graphic branding as a master's there. So that was amazing to just be there with, we were, I thought I would go into the UK and I would be in a group of, British students and things. And we were 42 people in that class, and there was one British student.
Mhm.
Everyone else was from different parts of the world, and that was an amazing experience where you get to explore different cultures,
Yeah.
and you get to talk to different people, see how their mind works, see how their creative process is, and that was a huge experience that I would never regret.
That's so interesting because culture affects really does influence the way you design things.
Yes, and I think the way that I've grown up as well has definitely influenced the way that my design comes out, and even the way that I've picked my clients and the projects that I work on. I've been born in Africa, I grew up in India, and now I'm in Vancouver. And my parents have always encouraged us to be open and to explore. And our community is like so vast and so varied that, it really encourages you to seek what is different about people and what's unique about a certain person that you're meeting.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. We actually have a question from the listeners for you.
Yes, for sure.
For a high school student who is curious about graphic design and isn't sure what they want to be, that they want to be a graphic designer, what would you tell them?
Mhm. There are so many different aspects of design, and if you are interested in design, it doesn't necessarily have to be graphic design. I know for a fact that in the school that I was going for, they did have some sort of graphic component to some of their courses that they were offering. But I mean, just explore what challenges you, and if you are in a community that does require design help, help
Mhm.
them out. Just do a little bit of volunteering work. If that interests you, then you know that you're heading in the right direction. And if that is something that that does not, that you feel yourself going more into something like interior design or something like fashion design or something like that, I mean, the best way to figure out what you want is to do work in that area.
Yeah.
So whether it is volunteering work, or even if you pick up a project and actually run with it, go for it.
Maybe
Just get
shadow a
as much.
designer for a day.
Exactly. Either that, the best way that I got to learn a lot was
Mhm.
actually volunteering and then actually working at a print shop.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
if there are, yeah, so just go there. They will teach you a huge amount of work.
Mhm.
They're super busy, which you would not expect, but but yeah, you learn the technical part of how the design eventually comes out and how much work is involved in that part of the
Mhm.
part too. So that was a huge learning curve. But yeah, just get as much experience as you can in the field that you're thinking of, and you will figure out whether you like to do that for the rest of your life or not.
Are there like particular internships that you suggest?
Um, it would depend on the course that you're taking. Again, if you are a high school student, I would recommend that you maybe through your school, or maybe through the community that you're in, try to find internships that you can, like you suggested, follow someone, shadow someone, and figure out, approach people, nag people. I mean, people are more than willing to help out, especially if you're a high school student and you're still trying to figure out. People are more sympathetic to that. So milk it.
Everyone remembers being that position.
Oh, yes. And, people are more than willing to help you out. You just have to ask.
So in this field, there's a lot of back and forth with customers and clients. What's an example of like most difficult client or project that you've had to handle, and how did you handle it?
The most difficult part. I think the most difficult project so far is wedding cards. um, because people have, typically what I've noticed is that they know what they want, but they can't tell you what they want. So
So
you
there's a
end
lot
up
of back and forth.
having, yes, there's a lot of time spent in that. There's a lot of your effort, but you do have clients that, they will see the first draft and they will love it, but they want to see other ideas, other drafts. So you end up doing another like 5, 6 drafts, and then they will say, "Oh, these are great, but I like the original idea."
Mm,
And at times like that, you really have to practice patience,
yeah.
and try to talk yourself into not like saying something. and being diplomatic.
Mm.
But yeah, I feel that the toughest part has been, clients not knowing that they have a certain idea, but not knowing how to express it. And the other thing is, yes, I work a lot with our community members, and that is really hard because what they again they're in a position where they're not able to tell you what they want, or they're not able to I mean, most of the people that I work with again are, they have their own jobs. And so this is like working for the community is volunteer work or something like that.
Mhm.
So, not the best time management. I've worked with a on a project that I gained a reputation that no matter how late they sent me stuff,
Yeah.
the changes would be made and ready for them in the morning. But then they also knew that they will not get a response from me until 12 in the
So you're sort of a
afternoon.
night owl.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
So for that particular project, I was working from 12 to 5 in the morning.
Mhm.
Um, and that continued for a couple of months. I think what
Does that
you
take a
need to
toll on
make
you?
sure, it definitely does. And after the project, I did crash for about
Mm.
like a week.
I can imagine.
As the same thing that happens after the event, Journey to Islam event that I was talking about earlier. Same thing. I mean, everyone who was involved in the organization part, we all crashed for a week.
Mhm.
After that, nobody contacts anybody, and then after that, we start debriefing and all that, and seeing what's now the next steps for it.
Mhm.
But you definitely need to take time off, and you need to make sure that you yourself are okay before you continue.
What opportunities other than freelance are there, in your area?
Well, freelance is basically you're working on your own company and you're establishing yourself,
Mhm.
but you can definitely work for corporations. You can apply for NGOs. Nonprofit organizations
Mhm.
also require a lot of design. So, if, for example, if you're in a similar situation like me and you feel like your contribution would be more catered towards organizations that require help that might not be able to, give you as or pay you enough for your services, you can definitely work for them as well.
Mhm.
Corporations, you can decide whether you want to, apply for a big company like the one that I did my mentorship in, and it's one of the bigger companies based in. I think it's I think it's a global company, but the one it was I did the my mentorship in the Vancouver office. But a few of my friends or my classmates did their mentorships in smaller and are currently working in smaller companies, sort of like mom and pop shops, kind of thing that have propped up. Vancouver has an amazing design center,
Mhm.
and so does places like London and Europe and things like that. So wherever you're based, you have to look out there and see what you want. The other option is to actually work for a company once you've gained enough experience and enough networking and things, and then you can always branch off on your own.
We actually have another question from the audience for you.
Mhm.
Um, they're asking, do you work better alone or in a group or team?
Again, that would depend on the projects that I take up. I
Mhm.
really enjoy teamwork. The group that I work for Journey into Islam is amazing. Every year, because again, we're working on a more volunteer basis, and we're
Mhm.
all youth. All of us are youth who are organizing and running the event. Uh, Working with the same kind of community or the same age people is amazing. You can gain so much from other people. But at the same time, working in a group that has a huge variety of kids. So for the 12 to 5 job that I had, we were a lot of people, and we were all in different time zones too. So our,
Yeah.
web developer was on the East Coast. Our project manager was going between here and China. So it's challenging definitely to work in a team, but the rewards are amazing.
And do you have any final piece of advice for the future generation of graphic designers?
Just make sure that you pick what's right for you. You need to make sure that you enjoy the work, because that's what will get you the kind of reactions or the kind of projects that you want to work for. Make sure that you pick what motivates you and what inspires you, and make sure that whatever you create out there inspires other people to be like you.
Thank you so much, Alia, for your time and
Thank
for sharing your
you.
wisdom with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really amazing to talk to you. Thank you.
It's great having you. Now, before we get to Bilal, just a reminder that Umoja Soccer Academy session is in full swing in select cities. If you want an academy in your city, please reach out to us at info@umojaaoutreach.org. There are very few spots left in the Toronto and New Jersey Academy, so fill up fast. Also, make sure to check out the official Umoja Games on 2018 photos at the Umoja website by searching umojaaoutreach.org/games and clicking gallery. Bilal, how are you today?
Doing good. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being here. So you've got a great audience. We can see all the comments coming up. Can you tell us a bit about your job?
Sure. So I'm a senior cybersecurity consultant currently working at Protivity. Protivity is technology consulting practice. I specialize in penetration testing, which includes testing for vulnerabilities on clients' websites, computer systems, firewalls, and all things related to cybersecurity, cyber or computers. So clients hire me or hire my team to to test their systems, networks, applications, web applications,
Mhm.
softwares, etc. Yeah. So this is a very brief introduction about myself.
What did you study in school?
So mostly computers, and
Mhm.
I have done bachelor's in computer networking from Coventry University, UK.
Mhm.
So uh, that's the baseline of my studies. And aside from this, I've also done one certification by the name of OSCP, Offensive Security Certified Professional. It's a tough certification. It's a hands-on certification on regarding penetration testing, breaking into systems. So I've done that as well.
So what's penetration testing?
Sure. So the term penetration test is just a term we use in telling our clients or everyone that hey, if there's a website or system or a computer network, we will try to break in legally.
Mhm.
Uh, uh,
Legally.
break, yes,
Highlight that.
legally is very important, and since cybersecurity laws are very tight, so
Mhm.
we make sure to take precaution before we do begin any testing.
Yeah.
It's a term we use telling for testing systems and networks for our clients, pen testing. That's what we
How
call.
does the process of that work? What do you do exactly?
So starting from the basics, when our clients reach out to us, uh, we try to understand the scope, what they are asking, and let's say if a client comes to us asking us to, hey, why don't you test our websites or system? We developed our networks. Can you come in and test our networks? So after our initial conversations, we draft the scope of work and we send it over to our clients. Once they approve it, we give them an initial kickoff meeting. We have meetings with our client, and during our initial meetings, we take the IP addresses, the website details, system configurations, anything which they want us to test, and we give them a time frame, most so let's say if we are testing a client's website, we take normally 1 week to test their website. And if it's a website, networks, any other configuration reviews, we take 1 week
Hmm.
to test them. So if and we sell it as a package. It includes wireless assessments, web application assessment, system network assessments. So a whole package. We send it out to our client, and it takes about 1 month to complete. On average, about 1 month to uh, complete an engagement.
Okay. And how did they know that you were in there? What kind of proof do you give them?
So so there are two type of engagements we do. One is
Hmm.
red team engagements, and one is pen testing. And in red team engagements, we don't specifically define our start time or end time. We just tell them, hey, during this period of, let's say, June, July, let's say, really rough estimate. In 2 months, we will be testing a system, and we will try to get into your office. We will try to get the crown jewels of your company during this time frame. So that's one. That's
Yeah.
called. And in a pen test, we do tell our clients that we tell them about the commencing time. Hey, we send out an email. Hey, we are about to commence testing, and once we once we end our testing, we send out an email of summary of what we did, and yeah, we keep our clients in the loop. So this is how we go about.
Nice. And was this a passion of yours?
Oh yes, definitely
Yeah.
a passion of mine.
When did it start becoming a passion?
So it's says cybersecurity or penetration testing, hacking related stuff began way earlier. It starts back in 2001, 1999. Yeah. So
How old were you
historically,
back
sorry, I was I think 15,
then? Okay.
14, 15. Yeah. So it starts from those days, and at that time I did not even know how to hack. I just knew the term hack, and it really got me excited. And I when I used to when I came to come to know from other friends, or any other person, that hey, that XYZ knows about hacking. So I used to get curious. I used to go to them, and nobody used to teach me hacking and stuff. So I used to get frustrated, and uh, so I started Googling, and people used to discourage me. Hey, hacking is a bad thing, and to be honest, hacking itself is a bad thing if you don't use it properly, if you don't use it legally. All right.
Hmm.
So it's if anyone is listening, it's important to be safe. If it's the hacking term itself is very it gets exciting, but you need to know your limitations. So there's a white area and the black area. You just make sure everyone listening to our podcast that we stay on the white area of this stuff.
Hmm. And have you ever broken into anything you shouldn't have?
I don't think so.
So you never broke any laws when you were a kid?
Well, I think I've figured out my mom's password. I think I've done that. So that's pretty much the law I've broken, and I think she forgives me. I hope if she's
I
listening.
hope so. That's great. Um, so can you tell me a bit about how you started off in your career?
So so around 2007, 2008,
Hmm.
while I was doing my bachelor's in network computing, I used to we used to have a very interesting lecturer, and he was very talented, very knowledgeable networking lecturer, and he used to talk to us about his students who were in the cybersecurity field, and that really used to excite me, and I used to think in my heart that these kids must be really smart, that's why they are in cybersecurity. And I used to think, how can I get into this field? So what I did was, after completing my graduation, uh, I started looking at the job descriptions of these cybersecurity roles, and initial uh, entry level jobs. And I used to look at the job descriptions, and if, let's say, the job description used to mention about a tool or something. For example, if the job description said a tool about Nessus.
Mm-hmm.
Nessus is a vulnerability scanner, which I use on a regular basis in my engagement till now.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did was I Google searched about this to read about it, downloaded its trial copy, and looked at YouTube videos. And once I got slightly familiar with the tool, I wrote the tool's name in my resume as well. So that kind of gave me a little bit of edge, or kind of told the guy or person interviewing me that, hey, he might know a little bit about this tool. So these were some little tricks and things I did to get into this field. And my first job was in a telecom company as a network security engineer. So yeah, that's how I got into cybersecurity.
Where did you first work?
So I worked in Pakistan, Lahore,
Mm-hmm.
as a. I started out as a for the telecom company. I started working in the telecom company as a computer analyst. I think
Okay.
I was there in that position for 2 months, and then within the same company, I got a job offer for network security engineering role. Yeah, so that's how I got into the corporate world.
Mm. And you mentioned some certifications. How did those help to aid in your career?
Oh, a lot. I can definitely speak about them. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so the certification I've completed is Offensive Security Certified Professional. It's or OSCP. It's one of the it is considered one of the toughest hands-on certification in the industry. So I did that, and it took me a while to complete it, because it's since there's no multiple choice questions. It's all hands-on,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all practical. It's the certification is, if you complete the certification, or you get the certification, it's like a statement saying, hey, if someone has the certification, it means he can hack into systems.
Yeah.
So I have done that, and it was not easy. I had to read a lot. I had to practice a lot just to attain the certification. And so my advice to any to younger generation listeners trying to get into cybersecurity field is to start from the basics. What I learned from my mistake was, while doing OSCP, was I did not knew about the basics, and I used to get stuck
Mm.
because some very simple stuff showing up on my computer screen. I knew it was cool, but I did not know why it's there. So it's very important to know about why the system, why the information you're seeing on the screen is there in the first place. So if you get to know that, or which normally comes from knowing the basics, this really helps you long way. Even if you know, let me give you an example. If you don't know your ABC, nobody is going to. You are not going to write essays about
Mm.
in English. So it's important to know your ABCs.
We have a question from the audience for you.
Sure.
It says, we're living in a very dynamic and constantly evolving world. The kind of competition there is in the industry you work in, how do you keep up and stay relevant?
Oh, that's a good question. So yeah, so it's like in any other field, like if it's if it's arts field, if it's biomedical field, and uh, I can I can completely say that Alia can agree with me on this as well.
Mhm.
This is it's constant. Every field is evolving. All right, and in order to uh, keep up with the pace, and cybersecurity itself is on fire. Everyone is getting hacked. Every institution is getting hacked, and it's uh, so Google News, uh, LinkedIn News, Reddit. Reddit is a very good place to know about news and stuff. And
Mhm.
Twitter is a nice place to keep myself updated. So these are some of the key data news points I look into
Mhm.
and keep myself updated. And it can be anything. It can be Twitter tweet. It can be on Facebook. It can be from groups or mailing list. So there are different sources of information. Just make
Mhm.
sure you're reading the right news, or make sure check the sources, because these days a lot of fake news is on the rise. And to be honest, it's very easy to publish a fake stuff. You can make up stuff, post it on Facebook, and expect people to like and share. It's very easy. Anyone can do it. But the trick is to make sure you're reading the right stuff, and to make sure is that you look at the sources. So yeah.
Yeah. And what's the coolest thing you've done on the job?
All right, I've lied to people. that's that's one of them.
That's funny.
So my job. So one of my job requirement is to when it's a social engineering or a social engineering engagement. One of my clients has asked me to check the security of a ship, or of a shipping vessel.
Okay.
That was cool, and that was one try to sneak into a ship and see the security control. That was one. The second was
You had to actually sneak into the ship?
yes.
Was it
And
in the middle of the ocean?
it was not. It was on the dock.
Okay.
It was on a dock, not in the middle of the ocean. I don't even know how to swim. I would have drowned if they asked me to go there.
That's funny.
That was crazy. Yeah, that's I've done that. And another thing was one of my clients in the West Coast asked me and my colleague to sneak into their office and act as a IT contractor from a different firm. And so what we did was we went to the office, we gave our fake names, and the badges were issued to us without checking our identities and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So once the temporary badges were released to us, we went to. So I went to 6 different people, employees, my clients' employees, and out of 6, I was able to make them write their password on a piece of paper of 5 employees. So I was able to do that. So I felt really bad, but it's just part of the job. I've done that.
Do you have like a get out of jail free card in case someone catches you?
Oh yes, absolutely. So we do carry get out of jail free cards, or that's what we call it. But the right term is authorization letter. Whenever we're doing these kind of engagements, we do carry it in our wallets or in our back pocket in case our story is not being bought by the person who is curious.
Has that happened to you?
Oh yes, absolutely, it has happened to us. It happened to me, and in one of the engagement, the person was not budging, and I was. It's like when I'm doing this kind of physical assessment or social engineering engagements. It's like improvised comedy. I tell this to everyone, and if you have to think quickly, act fast, make up story. And if the other person is not buying your story, then it's time to it kind of raises alarm in the head.
Mm-hmm.
So at one point, at one engagement, the person did not buy my story, and he was about to call the cops on us. And the moment he was about to do that, we took out our get out of jail card, or the authorization letter given to us by our client, and we showed them to the employee. Even though we showed the authorization letter, he was still annoyed. He was still annoyed because he was annoyed on the fact that his boss did not trust that person. So that's why he took it personally. So yeah.
Sounds like you need to take some improv classes for this job.
Oh yes, a lot. Acting classes. Especially.
Yeah. What's the toughest part of your job?
So the toughest part of my job is reporting. Reporting is definitely tough because the only impression which stays for a longer period of time is our report. If we deliver a quality report, obviously they're going to come back to us. So we make sure the report we deliver it maintains the highest quality. It is readable, understandable, and actionable. They can, by looking at a report, they can say, hey, these are the vulnerabilities or issues identified in the office, security control in the system. So we have to work extra hard to make sure our report is top quality. So that's hard.
We have another question from the audience for you. Kind of funny question. When you were a student, did you ever try to hack the network of your school?
Yes, I did, but I was never successful actually. I wanted to, but try to get change the grades and stuff. I did not back in my school days. I did not knew about cyber. I was curious about it, but I never got into any systems. I was like a bad hacker, you can say.
And no one ever tried to teach you?
No one. I don't know why people try to keep it a secret. It's like, come on, man. It's just everything is online. Just Google search it. And I started Google searching, and that's why I
Yeah.
practiced, and that's why I think I know a little bit about it. I don't think I'm a super expert, but I know
Mhm.
good some things which can provide value to my clients.
And we have another question for you.
Sure.
Are open systems or cloud networks more vulnerable than closed systems? Sorry.
To be honest, everything can be secure, everything can be vulnerable. So it all depends,
Mhm.
boils on to how you deploy it, how much knowledge. Starting from the basics, if you know the basics, the ABC of the system you're going to deploy, you will obviously know about its pros and cons of deploying that technology. So even if it's a uh, internal database you have deployed in your office, and if it's not
Mhm.
security proper, w- there are more chances that an employee can access those databases with containing critical information. That's just one example. And if you deploy stuff properly on the cloud, it's we have obviously, I'm going to give a bad example. We have Facebook systems, even though
Mhm.
they got hacked recently. Like it's security itself becomes harder if people do not implement it correctly.
Yeah.
But it's pros and cons everywhere. I cannot say the cloud is secure or the internal systems are secure. They're all flawed. They're all can be protected. That's my take on it.
And how demanding is your job?
It depends. It depends on the client
Mhm.
requirements. If I'm working with a very laid back client, it's okay. Clients are understandable most of the time. And if the client is tough, then it becomes demanding. Yeah, it does.
Mhm. Do you have like specific hours, or does it extend sometimes?
It does. It definitely extends. It's not a typical 9 to 5 job. It requires
Mhm.
more hours. If you're delivering a report, then obviously it takes more time. Yeah.
What's something you wish you knew before you got into the job?
Oh,
Something someone had told
okay. Yeah, yeah. That's a really good question. So, before so when I wanted to join this job, this profession, I thought that it's all about hacking and stuff. I knew uh, this profession requires a reporting as well aspect to it, but I did not knew how much the business aspect of my profession is important as well. To be honest, it's good to be technical, but in consultancy, importantly, uh, all technical stuff is 35%. The rest 65% is about soft skills. How do you talk to your client? How do you send emails to your client? How do you present yourself? How do you give presentations? How do you maintain relationships? So it's 65% of my job requires to be on the to use my soft skills. So that's very important. I wish I knew better. I had a technical background. I worked in industry.
Mhm.
And I did my degree in the technical and then networking stuff. I think being knowing about the business would have really helped me a lot. But now, and since I'm doing this, I'm every day is a learning day for me, and
Yeah.
I try to improve on a daily basis.
And what would you suggest to a high school student that wants to get into the field of cybersecurity? What's the advice you wish someone would have given you when you were looking into hacking?
Oh, absolutely. I can definitely share some advice with our younger generation and with our audience. Is that so? I would like to say is that read, since it's read a lot of stuff, and reading has very much importance in our Islam as well. In the first word revealed to our holy prophet was Ikra, which is
Mhm.
literally means to read. And I think from Islamic point of view, from Islamic point of view, from a real life point of view, it's really important to read anything, and aside from cybersecurity, any field, even if you were in arts, if you were into mechanical engineering, designing, you name it. You have to read, you have to practice. I think reading is really important. And just to give you another example, like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, and Elon Musk are, they are definitely billionaires. But one thing is very much common in these famous people is that they read a lot. They are knowledge absorbing machines. The more the advantage they have on us is that they know a lot of stuff, and they know a lot of stuff is because they have
Mhm.
read a lot. So my advice to everyone is just read. Yeah.
Okay. We have a couple questions for you from the audience. Maybe afterwards they can reach out to you and answer them because we're running out of time. But there's one question that asks, "What's the weirdest thing you have heard of being hacked?"
Well, the weirdest thing,
Yeah.
uh, hmm, that's a, this is well, yeah, I I
No
do come
answer.
across very very weird stories here
Yeah.
and there, but so just to give you an example, I've come across databases which contained a lot of very valuable information. It was on the internet,
Hmm.
free, open for everyone. That's one of the weirdest things I've come across on a daily basis. It's just not one weird story. This is just one of many weirdest stuff I've seen. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's just one example. Yeah.
And what's the biggest misconception about hackers?
All right. So thanks to media, people think that hacking is a bad thing, but hacking itself, in its core, it's about changing, like making, uh, modifying the stuff. Like, for
Hmm.
example, you can modify your car. It's like you hack your car. That's what it literally means. So we hackers, computer hackers, are just modifying its normal behavior to, make it more useful, make it more special, make it more ours. So yeah, that's all the misconception. Thanks to the media. We hackers are just modifiers. We just try to find creative ways to get into the systems network legal. Most of us are, you know, are ethical hackers. We try not to break into systems. We get consent from clients before we start our engagement. So yeah, it's just a misconception.
Okay. And do you have any last piece of advice to the future generation of hackers?
Well, yeah, of course. Like I mentioned earlier, I
Hmm.
think reading, knowing the basics, being honest to yourself. I think that these are the things I would like to say to younger generation, to our audience, and everyone. It's like just try to be honest, read. It really helps a long way. Yeah.
Do you need to have a base of like curiosity in order to do this job?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have to be curious as well. Yes,
Hmm.
being curious helps a lot.
Okay, we have one last question and we'll end it with this. Can you tell us exactly how someone would go from school, like things to take in high school, college, or university to get to your job?
Sure. So I think to get into my job is like, it's like I mentioned earlier. Read about, if you're trying to get into my field, or any other field in
Mhm.
general, try to read about this job description. Look at what people want. Let's say if there's a job about database administrator, my cybersecurity skills are not going to help me, even though it's about computers. So read about the job descriptions online, and once you figure it out, even at an early age, if you make a, like, you've heard, we have all heard about people saying, follow your dreams and follow your stuff. Uh, so thing is, my understanding of following dreams is like, set goals and follow those goals. That's the understanding I have. So if you want to be in my field, set a goal and follow that. Make a path towards that goal. So setting goals. If you want to be a graphic designer, set a goal. You want to be a graphic designer. Read about the job description. Read about what are people looking for. Put yourself into your client's shoes, and then you will understand. So if there is a pen testing job, read about pen testing. If it's a database administration job, read about database administration job related job description, and you will understand what is exactly required to get into this field. Yeah. Hello?
Okay, well, thank you so much for everything.
Thank you for having me here.
Of course. Well, if you would like to see future shows, you can reach out to us on our uMentor website. If you'd like to be part of the shows, you can also reach out. Thank you for listening to today's uMentor show. If you missed our show today, you can always hear it on the website under prior talk shows. And while you're there, why not subscribe to the iTunes podcast so you never miss another show? If you want to reach out to the speakers from today's show or any of the previous shows to ask these professionals any questions you may have, please visit our online platform at umojaoutreach.org/unleashthefuture/groups. Or you can visit the uMentor website and hit the link for online platform. Be sure to tune in next week on Saturday at 3 p.m. for another panel of live speakers and more stories.